Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Daily Fix. I am your usual host and presenter, Advocate Tulo Hoyani. This morning I would like to share with you an interview between a journalist and KZN Commissioner of Police, Mkhwanzi, when he completely destroyed this journalist. Mkhwanzi does not beat about the bush. The police in KwaZulu-Natal have done a sterling job to bring the crime levels down in that province. And this is what Mkhwanzi told the journalist. Take a listen to this.
Hey South Africa, what happens when a so-called expert tries to challenge a real soldier in the war on crime? What happens when a journalist steps into the battlefield armed with opinions, only to be met with cold, hard truth?
Well, it's a difficult thing to argue with someone who calls himself an expert on the field and yet he doesn't know anything. So if I were to debate you about journalism, I'll look like a fool because I have no slightest idea what it takes for you to put this whole production together. An operation of the police is better known by a police officer.
Brace yourselves, because General Nalala Mkhwanzi didn't just respond to criticism, he shut it down with a truth bomb so fierce, it's echoing across the country. In this video, we expose the interview that's left people stunned and share the deeper story that no one's telling you. We were shocked, emotional, and honestly, fired up when we heard what General Mkhwanzi had to say. And after you hear it, you'll never look at policing, prison overcrowding, or South Africa's gun crisis the same way again. Let's set the scene. It's the 22nd of August, 2024. Veteran broadcaster Zoli Mngambi from Newsroom Africa is sitting across from General Nalala Mkhwanzi, KwaZulu-Natal's police commissioner. He asks a pointed question, no softballs. Just straight up, why are your officers so heavy-handed? Is your fire with fire approach even legal? And just like that, Mkhwanzi drops the hammer.
I'd like to change tack a little bit and talk about sometimes the criticism against you and your officers, that you are heavy-handed and there is an understanding that you are dealing with very violent criminals who are not afraid to confront law enforcement officers. But how do you respond to that criticism that you meeting fire with fire is something that may potentially get you into trouble with the law, or specifically those officers?
Well, it's a difficult thing to argue with someone who calls himself an expert on the field and yet he doesn't know anything. So if I were to debate you about journalism, I'll look like a fool because I have no slightest idea what it takes for you to put this whole production together. An operation of the police is better known by a police officer. Even myself being here, having worked in so many years in many high-risk environments, with experience I have, but I cannot judge police officers that were involved in an accident somewhere until I hear from those police officers what transpired. So it is just unfortunate that we get people that claim to be expert. Now, I do not know how many experts are there in football, except those that are playing football. But how many people sit behind the mic like them, they call themselves expert by just analyzing the game and talking about, they don't know how to kick a ball. So it's the same thing we see in the police. It seems like a police becoming a professional, a profession that is taken for granted. That everyone believes that the right way of policing is this and the right way of policing is that. And we want to welcome all of them. Anyone that has an opinion or a suggestion to make.
There you have him telling this journalist that, the police work is best left to the police. Mkhwanzi is hands-on, You can see the statistics that were flashing there on your screen. He just shoots from the hip. This is a man who does not engage in conferences and, long speeches about how he's going to fight crime. But he actually gets on the ground to fight crime. I don't know what you think about, those comments that he made to the journalist, but he's actually saying, you see, the work of policing is best done by the police themselves. So that all these critics who are coming up to say, Mkhwanzi is, overdoing things, shooting from the hip, and all the criminals that we have seen die in KwaZulu-Natal. Mkhwanzi says that job is the job of the police. And the police know better than anybody else how it must be undertaken. It is not for armchair critics to come around and say, you know, this is not right or this is right. It is for the police who are on the ground fighting that crime. Just like the example that he made about that journalist, that, you know, how can he as a police commissioner or as a policeman, you know, make any judgment about, you know, the quality of that, of a TV production or of a TV production, you know. So that all he's saying is, let the police do their work. And we know what Mkhwanzi is doing. The statistics are there, the record is there, and everything speaks for itself. Having said that, let me thank you for watching this video, and for all the other videos that you have been watching, please kindly subscribe, share, and like these videos, and have a wonderful day.